how can I, as a sound designer, find a way to continue to add that layer of the artistry that I have, of what I'm trying to achieve in telling the story with the director's vision, but without the specific thing that I'm actually using. How can a deaf audience experience it? They can experience it visually, can experience it physically, but I think just going from the fact that, if there was no actual audio input, how can I convey that aspect of the story to the audience? Through the process of rehearsal, the biggest challenge was sort of finding out, how do we convey this moment? Like, if there was something that shocked the characters, and normally in the theater you would have this loud sound that goes boom, yes, auditorially the audience would be very responsive to it, but yet at the same time too, I wanted to have that same effect for a deaf audiences. And so we, in this particular production, we played with bass and sub sounds, so that's physically actually interacting with the audiences. We placed a sub underneath the audience seating area, and that was sort of the main crux of where we fed that information to the audience. And it's a bit of a mystery, because I wasn't sure whether it was going to work or not. I wasn't sure whether the information that I gave would be clear or not, because with bass, you don't have the subtlety that you'd be able to convey with intensity, with pitch, with different ways in which a sound we could associate would have. And part of my preparation to be a part of the show was planning, okay, when I'm going to design, listening to everything, making sure that the hearing audience's experience was complete, and then also making sure that I could actually understand what a deaf audience's perspective was for the show. I wore a pair of air defenders, which are basically like construction-style headphones that block out quite a bit of sound, and I played sort of a white noise underneath so that I wouldn't be distracted by ambient sounds. I expected it to be the same experience for me watching the show, and what it was actually even more profound. And I've been sort of trying to dissect it, I think partly because, looking at the places where I chose to add bass, the length of it, the intensity of it, how it came out, hopefully understanding for me what the rhythm of it was representing, for example, a heartbeat. Like, those things really came very clearly, and then combined with, I think, the performance, was very moving and very uplifting. Not being able to hear any of the auditory sounds that were provided was a very intimate version of the show. One of the things I had not expected and anticipated working with deaf actors was the need to provide context for the sounds that I was playing. Quite often when I design sounds, the feedback is there for the performers to hear, and they very naturally respond to what they hear. One day when I was playing a sound and the character Miranda walks in, but sort of ignoring the sound that I played, I was like, oh wait, there was a sound there for you to help you in with your transition. And I realized, obviously she can't hear it, therefore I need to either explain what's happening, and then help her understand the timing of when it, for example, goes with lights, so that when she sees the light, she knows that there's a sound playing, which then is her cue to enter. Or, and this is what we ended up doing, was placing a second sub speaker, a loud, very low, deep speaker, on the stage, so that the actors on stage could also feel, hear, quote unquote, the sounds as part of their action. It wasn't until we actually did it to realize that there was something missing. That was like, oh, it was a great discovery. Having that perspective of understanding how to communicate in sign language also gave me the bravery, as it were, the ability to be bold and to be almost stupid, to not be afraid to ask questions and make mistakes, because I'm still learning, which I think gave me a gateway into being a better understanding of deaf culture. if I didn't have that permission to be silly and to learn to sign correctly, incorrectly, that I wouldn't be as brave to ask questions, to question, is this working? Is this clear for you? What is the standard of culture within the deaf culture? How is this particular etiquette handled? I think those are all very interesting questions. We weren't trying to be innovators. We were just trying to make sure that the story points, the thoughts and things that we wanted to convey to an audience were clear. And whether they were clear to one audience or both audiences, that is where our challenge were. And what does that mean if we provided information to one and not the other? If we chose to, do sound here but no sound there, why was that the case? And did that did that send the audience along the same path? That was the question that we really drove towards. I'm most proud of the fact that I found a way to connect, to really go, this is how I want to engage, and I want to make sure that the story is clear. And I didn't get caught up in gimmicks or technology or trying to be fancy, which I think could very easily have been done, right? I think if we were like, oh, we're just gonna make it flashy and we're gonna put little lights at the bottom to simulate blah blah blah, I think that would have been fine. It would have been a great experiment, but it would have made for a very poor theater show.